being very open and sincere about it, truth is that I have never really liked the voice of Jonas Kaufmann. I am aware that for many people, he's the ultimate, the greatest, the super dramatic tenor of all times. And all the exaggerations that we have talked about a good number of times and that are more the result of fanaticism rather than of any even close trial of being objective. But with that in mind, it is that I accidentally ran into um, a song, an Italian song, a Neapolitan song, in fact, under the name Non ti scordar di me, which, by the way, was made very famous in the voice of Luciano Pavarotti. He's the one who sang it more often, and so we are much more used to the way he used to sing this Neapolitan song. Truth is that Non ti scordar di me, it's a very difficult piece of music to sing, not because of any high notes or any low notes or any ornament that could be part of it, but because it has to do with more traditional content, local content in Italy, as we have already stated in other programs in the podcasts or in some other times. And sorry if it might be found a little noisy today, but this video entry is also being recorded in the outdoors. I am getting used to, or I like it more often when I record the video vlogs in the outdoors. Again, insisting that I really don't like recording in the studio, four walls, better noise isolation, but no inspiration to get from anywhere except for the four walls. So it's much nicer when I am sitting here in a park watching the birds, watching many trees. But unfortunately, occasional people are too noisy or some cars pass by. So my apologies for that. Going back to the point. So I have stated that I have never really liked the voice of Kaufman, and I was surprised when in my feed it was suggested the Non ti scordar di me, which I knew fairly well. And so I told myself that with all the emission and interpretation problems that Mr. Kaufman has, the Non ti scordar di me would certainly be a disaster. But much to my surprise, and we have to go back to the point that it was sung around 13 years ago, at least that's what it states in the description of the video, 2011. So he must have been in his early 40s. Um, I have to be very sincere as well. I really liked it. Much to my surprise, he does a fairly good job. And by this, please, people that you like going to extremes, don't go to extremes. I am not saying or I am not confirming that he's the ultimate best dramatic tenor of the century or or that. I'm just saying that. Facing my own biases in the understanding that I have of his voice, I was very surprised to see that in the first part that is not really sung, but it is more like a quasi parlato. Parti non le rondini da quel suo paese. That part is usually very difficult for an opera singer because it has to be described in a rhythm and an intonation of a more natural spoken Napolitan Italian emission. And let's keep in mind that in fact he's German. So much to my surprise, he was able to do it fairly well. And the dynamics and the way this piece flowed was fairly was fairly. And also the problems that I have with his emission, which there are plenty of videos in the internet around the technique of Kaufman. Much to my surprise, I still liked the sound. I liked his interpretation even more than other, I would say, consummate singers. I believe we can find better voices, more suited voices for this Non ti scordar di me, but that unfortunately fail miserably at the interpretation. And that is not the case for Kaufman. And I insist, much to my surprise, he did it fairly well. And just to to share with you another point that you have to evaluate when talking about Mr. Kaufman. I am also adding to the description of this video another source stating famous tenor equals big voice. The first part of this video shows Mr. Kaufman, of course, with microphones open stage, thousands of people, and he sounds huge singing Celeste Aida. In this one is a rehearsal in well, looks like a rehearsal, so that's what I think it is, but I think he's dressing in gala, so I might be wrong, but he's barely being heard. The orchestra fully covers him, so basically this video is telling us what I have shared with you earlier. People with microphones, that's what in engineering, engineering, sound engineering are for. They are there to make the singer sounds much more powerful than he actually is. Just to add to that conversation on the powerful voice of Mr. Kaufman, but that doesn't cancel that in fact I liked his interpretation of Non ti scordar di me. But let's listen to a part of his Celeste Aida. It doesn't sound that powerful, right? Still, the Non ti scordar di me, sorry to insist, it's fairly good. Well, thank you very much for having watched this video.